On today's episode of Homeworthy, we're bringing you to Harlem, New York to visit the cozy apartment of Chef Kathleen O'Brien Price. Better known as Chef Leen, Kathleen has used her eye for practicality and casual comfort to create a lovely home for her family of 3. Chef Leen will also give us a demonstration on how to cook the perfect steak and delicious homemade crudité. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. To shop items inspired by this and other Homeworthy episodes, be sure to check out the product links below for amazing furniture, accessories, and more.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Kathleen. Welcome to my apartment in Harlem, New York City. Come on in. Hi, I'm Kathleen O'Brien Price, Coy, and I am a chef entrepreneur and I live in Harlem, New York City. I found this apartment in 2021. Me and my husband, he wasn't my husband at the time, we lived in a 5-floor walk-up about 3 blocks away, and I got pregnant. So I was like, I'm not living on a 5-floor walk-up anymore. And so we started the great apartment hunt in New York City. We moved in January. The moment I stepped into this apartment, I was like, oh my gosh, we're living here. Like, I knew that we were gonna live here. This has happened almost with like every single apartment I've ever lived in. As soon as I get to the door, I just have this feeling like I'm gonna live here. But what really cemented it for me was when I walked down a hall in New York City, like, oh my gosh. And then I saw this like amazing view, right? Like, I was looking directly out at Central Park. As someone who moved to New York City and lived on a couch, and like now thinking I could actually live in a place that is literally across the street from Central Park, it was such a dream come true. I just had to convince my husband that this was the right apartment for us. The other huge factor in this apartment was not just the location, but it has the most amazing kitchen. And as a chef, that was super, super important to me. And it's truly a rare find, our kitchen here in New York City. All right, welcome to my kitchen. This was the main selling point of the apartment when I first came in. But funny story about this kitchen island, like, look, it's like literally bigger than me. It's amazing. The neighbor downstairs, because their apartments are not renovated, he's been here like, I don't know, since 1970. He was like, oh, you have one of these newer apartments with that big table in the middle. And I was like, yeah, an island, like that's the reason I wanted this apartment. So this is really amazing for entertaining, cooking. Anytime I like cook out of home for events and things, like this is just like half center of our home here. The kitchen is just like super amazing. Like, we have all these like cabinets, like they go all the way up. I love that I was able to bring my grandmother's glasses. Like, when I was a kid, I thought those are very, very fancy, and I'm very honored to have them here. I know like this is filming, but I generally do like to keep my counters very, very clear. I do not own an air fryer or any other like random kitchen gadget. Like, as a chef, I actually think those things are unnecessary, but also they just like don't look nice on the counter. I have all my like usual spices that I go to here. And then like my spices are right here by my stove, which I really like. They're I guess I could have organized these a little better. The stove, of course, my favorite burner is this left one. Do you have a favorite burner? And then coming around the kitchen, another clever thing, chef tips. I like to keep my spices that I use like often in a drawer, because I normally cook right here and it's very easily accessible right here. So I think that is also very genius. And another small tip, my Tupperware is not that organized, but I want you, if you are like going through Tupperware, you know, terribleness, maybe don't buy any more Tupperware and just invest in like deli cups and use your to-go containers, because why not? Why buy more? So yeah, this is the kitchen. Love it. I spend a lot of time here working, eating, relaxing. I love to display some of Nola's art. She just started going to school, so like she's really into tape. I don't know what I think she calls every picture a unicorn. When I ask her like, what is this? She's like, a unicorn. So yeah, coming around here, this space, I actually didn't really know what to do with for the longest time. This bar cart actually used to be over there, but For some reason, I moved it here, and then I put all of Nola's snacks in here so she can like easily access, like grab them when she needs to. Funny story, when I was pregnant and moving in and buying all these plants, everyone was like, you're gonna have to get rid of all of them when you have your baby, but Nola doesn't really touch them too much, every now and then, but they're still flourishing, I love it. And then this is something, this little section, I kind of envisioned, pretty much when we moved in here. These cabinets are actually IKEA cabinets, IKEA hack. I don't remember the exact name of them, but you can, I'll let you see. This is Nola's art stuff. So it has like a lot of storage space, but then I painted them black, a black matte, and then I hired a task rabbit to hang them up because if I hung them out, they would be on the floor. But I think they just look really nice and sleek. And then like during the holidays and different like occasions, I'll decorate it seasonally, like Halloween's coming up, so I'm very excited about that, Christmas. And then this is kind of like our family wall. I haven't updated these pictures. Let me see the latest picture. I guess this is our last picture. This is Chris's family around Christmas. We have our wedding pictures. We have the time I was in the New York Times. I spent a lot of money to frame this at Michael's. I don't think people like truly frame stuff anymore in this way. We have a picture of my family from my grandmother's 98th birthday party last year. But yeah, this is just our family wall. I love to switch out some of these pictures, but some of them are kind of timeless. Like this picture is when Chris and I literally first started dating, and we re-met in New York after being a month gone when I was working on the cruise ship. So I just really, really love this picture. So yeah, some of these can be changed out, but some of them are classic. So I like this. And then my parents gave me this picture of New York City because they said I live all the way up here. So, you know, it's a picture of my yard. And then I want to also highlight this little lovely thing that has shells sitting in it currently. This is a kitchen tower, and because I'm a chef, but even if I wasn't a chef, like everyone has to cook every day. If you have children, this is definitely worth the investment. I just got it off of Amazon. But Nola really feels involved. If I literally just need like 10 minutes, I'll just give her like random ingredients on a sheet tray and she'll stand here. Like the other day I gave her cornstarch, chia seeds, and I don't know, water, and she literally played for 45 minutes. It was fabulous. So yeah, this is a really great thing, really essential to our family. I've been a chef for almost 15 years now. I originally started in private homes. That was a really, really amazing experience. It gave me just a base level of standard of excellence, like reporting to these super rich and famous people. And when I moved to New York, I kind of started freelancing and doing my own thing. I had to find my own clients. And I was really, really good at that while the world was open. And then when the world kind of shut down in 2020 because of COVID, I had to reinvent myself, which was, I will say, probably the first time I was actually truly an entrepreneur. Because before that, I was always, like, I always had one client that like paid my bills. But in 2020, I really had to create something that would sustain me. So I created Chef Leen's Virtual Kitchen, which was one of my, I have two top favorite jobs. That was one of my favorite jobs because I literally just got to teach people all around the world, even like I taught people in South Africa and in Ireland how to cook. And it was fun, and it was fun bringing people together, and it was fun showing people new skills. And it was completely my own. I owned everything about it. I owned the marketing, I owned the class creation. I even had a chef working within my company doing cooking classes as well. So that was like my true first, okay, I'm really like just supporting myself with the work that I do experience. And since then, I've been able to maintain that, like finding my own clients. I haven't really been back to an office job. Actually, I've never had an office job, but I haven't really been back just stable for one person for a very long time, probably about 6 or 7 years. But I love this lifestyle. I wake up, I love and hate it. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, let me find a 9 to 5, what is happening? But then most of the time I find gratefulness and gratitude in the fact that I literally am just cooking people food and making people happy, and on my own terms. I get to choose the clients I want to work with. I get to constantly create, literally. So it's just really amazing lifestyle. But again, not to say it's not difficult. It's really, really hard. But I do feel like it's my true purpose to gather people together surrounding food. And I'm really, really excited about my next venture, starting this family social club called Kinhaven House, because it's gonna combine all of my talents and all of the pain points that I've had as a parent and really just expand into something globally that I think will be my legacy on this earth. Coming around, our dining room table. I love this thing so much. I feel like this is the first real piece of like adult furniture that I've ever owned. I got it off of Apartment Deco. It was from West Elm originally. And yeah, you can see I have the chairs. The chairs I think I just got from, I don't really remember. Somewhere like not that exciting. But I got 2 different colors, even though one you can't see. Because this is Nola's designated seat. So we have a little booster for here. I actually got rid of her high chair. I mean, she's 3 now, but I got rid of her high chair pretty early because I wanted her to feel like interactive at the table with us. So this is her dedicated seat. Although now lately, and it's covered with a blanket because she makes a mess. Lately she wants to choose other seats and I'm like, no, this is your dedicated chair. Another one thing I want to highlight are these mirrors. So originally I wanted to get one gigantic mirror, but remember it was like 2021 when I moved in here. So it was like production was not happening. So I made the sad choice to just get what could come faster rather than what I really wanted. But I think they look nice. I love how it kind of brings like the outside in. It feels like more windows on this side. So it kind of really opens up the space. And we'll go over to this little corner. So this corner has kind of evolved. Whereas like the 2 spaces I just showed you were like very clear in my mind when we first moved in. This corner has really evolved since Nola has been born. I actually just got this new bench. We used to have like a more ugly thing. And I got this from Home Goods, my favorite store. I used to go to Home Goods a lot when I was pregnant. And I thought this was really clever because I found these boxes that fit under here. And this is actually more storage for toys, dress-up clothes. So when Nola wants to play with them, she takes them out. When we want to put them away, they go away. I got these pillowcases from Amazon. I thought they kind of just went with like the sort of modern, casual kind of feel. I got this chair. Nola loves it. Sometimes I'll bring it over to the dining or the like coffee table from Home Goods. I was obsessed with these things. Like I really, really wanted to find, I'll move them, really wanted to find some baskets that I could store stuff in because again, in New York, everything has to be practical. But then when I got them and I started putting stuff inside of them, I thought it looked very cluttered. So it was supposed to be practical. It's just a little table now. And then I use this cake stand to like give this a little bit more height, more plants. Books, you see, we love to read here. And then I'm very proud of this little puppet theater I made Nola. She's played with it maybe 3 times. I asked her if I could throw it away yesterday and she said no. But I'm like, okay, it's sitting in my house. Like, you don't play with it. Before we get into the artwork, the monkey lap, such a piece of conversation in this home. Anyone that comes in here for the first time, they either love it or hate it. My mother-in-law, I will never forget this. She's like, I love everything about your house except for that monkey. But I love it. I think it's so fun. It's so cool. I originally saw it when I worked for a client in the Hamptons. I used to go to all those fancy stores and read through like their interior design magazines and stuff. And there was like I feel like it was probably over $1,000, this kind of monkey lamp. But I actually found this on Amazon. And we haven't even named it. It's been living here ever since, but I really love this thing. And we paired it with Alexa, so I think it's very clever that we can tell Alexa to turn off and on the monkey. And then this is like a new thing in the last like 6 months or so. I decided to make Nola's art, like kind of an art corner. She made these paintings probably when minus the name. She's not a genius. She did not write her name when she was like a year and a half. But she made these paintings when she was like a year and a half. And I just thought they were like really cool. And I keep seeing all these like babies that are like artists. I'm like, man, I missed the opportunity here. But I just think this piece like really kind of completed this corner. It's like our little artsy kind of reading nook situation. And then obviously the view. And it's so beautiful. This like Central Park really becomes a part of our home. It like, you know, with the seasons changing, like now you can see the ginkgo trees turning yellow and orange. It's been beautiful green all summer. And then winter, it gets like very barren. But what's really nice about winter is we get really good sun, which I'll come over to my favorite spot on the couch in the winter. This little area, like literally laying here in the winter with the sun just like laying on you. It's like the best. And I had the best pregnant naps in this corner. Speaking of this couch, when Chris and I first moved in together, we had his bachelor couch that was like a big leather clunky thing. It was functional. But a year right before we moved here, we decided that it was time to upgrade. So we got this from, I don't actually remember, it was a long time ago now. But it's been pretty sturdy. I like that it's modern. I like that it's sleek, but it's still pretty comfortable. And then I just added like these extra pillows. I am good. So I have an obsession with wanting to buy pillows. I would say buying pillows because I don't buy them because I'm like, why am I paying $30 for this pillow? But something that has kind of like quenched my thirst or like need for new design is buying pillows that you can like, or pillowcases that you can unzip. So like if and when I decide to change, I can just change out this pillow. And I think this pillow, wait, this is wild. I haven't opened this in a while. I think this pillow is literally from like when I lived in California. That is crazy. But like, the cactuses are no longer in. So, you know, we had to upgrade it with the little leather situation, pleather situation. So yeah, this artwork up here, I actually made myself. Chris, it was another one of my projects that Chris was like, I don't know if that's gonna work. And then when it got hung up on the wall, he was like, well, I see your vision. And then more plants, of course, and more books. We always want to encourage reading. And then we have obviously lots of space for Nola's toys, but as you can see, they're kind of like tucked away. This is another one of the first pieces I bought when we moved into the house. It also came from Apartment Deco. And I thought that it was such an interesting, like unique piece, and also like was like perfect for this house because of the way the kitchen is like so gray, and then it had this like nice wood to complement it. I really felt like it kind of tied all the things together. I like to keep our family photos here, and then just some decorative things. Again, the fresh flowers. This candle is just for you because a 3-year-old and a candle on a coffee table is not a thing. Oh, but this is another one of our more expensive pieces in the home. I think I like convinced my mom to buy me this because I was pregnant. So I was like, hey mom, everything I need. But this was really, actually I can show you guys. This is another piece that I was like, oh, it's storage also. It's probably gross in here, but I thought this was like super clever. So we can like hold blankets and games and stuff like that. Because again, in New York City, space is a thing and you have to be always aware of it. Before we leave the living room, oh, the rug, I got from Burlington Coat Factory, actually pretty recently. I wanted something to kind of warm it up. Without the rug, it feels a little bit cold, especially with like the fall coming. But yeah, before we leave, I want to point out my husband's favorite things. I would be remiss if I did not, because this is like the #1 thing we bought when we first moved in. It was the one thing he owned, this gigantic TV, because, you know, he has to watch his football. And when we were in Best Buy, I was like, this TV is so big, like it's kind of ridiculous, but I really appreciate this TV now. So I'm glad that he took it upon himself to go. And we actually got a really good deal on it. It was like one of the already opened box ones. So it was like not that expensive for the size that is. But I do think like literally this is the size it needed to be because this wall is like gigantic, right? Karaoke machine we like to display because we like to have karaoke nights. Some friends actually gave Chris this. And then also, like I was saying, this piece of furniture, not only is it really nice design, it has so much storage. So it has like storage on both sides. It has these things full of Nola's toys. And then it also has some storage like around the corner. It's like a really awesome piece. And then this little corner, this ladder will always be near and dear to me because it's, again, one of the first things I bought when I was like thinking of the design of how I wanted the space to feel. And one of my friends, when she came over for our baby shower, she was like, I love the ladder. It's so New York. You know, you're tying in the fire escape with the ladder. I was like, I didn't really think about it that deeply, but okay, cool, great. And this blanket came from one of my not one of my very first private client in New York City that I worked for 10 years and became like actually like good friends with them and their children. So this blanket also has like some sentimental value to me because literally like that's how I survived. And they taught me so much about myself and working and just like being in the city. So I really love this blanket. And then this picture Chris gave to me for Valentine's Day. One of his friends actually painted it for us. I have to point this out because I got it on Facebook Marketplace and it was like $80. And if you buy it at Pottery Barn, it's like $500. So I feel very, very proud of this find. And if you know anything about Facebook Marketplace, it's not as easy as apartment deco. You have to like really be on and messaging and like, please give it to me. It was a little bit broken, but my dad, shout out to my dad, every time he comes in from California, I have a list of things for him to fix, and he actually fixed this part last time he was here. So this is our living room, our general family space. This is probably where we spent the most amount of time, and it just feels so, I just love the energy in here. It's amazing. I'm originally from California, and when I first moved to New York, I thought I wanted to live in Brooklyn. Fort Greene specifically, I just really love the vibe, the like shops and all the things. But when I moved here, I realized how expensive rent was. So I ended up on my best friend's couch. And then from there, I had 3 roommates and I only paid $500 rent for like 5 years. That was amazing. But that really cemented me loving Harlem, living in Harlem. There's no place like it. It's so diverse. There's so many different kinds of people, not just race and religion, but like age-wise. Like it's so amazing. Even in this building, I've met so many of my neighbors. My neighbor next door is 90 something years old and has lived here for like over 50 years. My neighbor below has lived here for like since 1970. I just love feeling like I'm a part of history and a part of people that have seen Harlem change in so many different ways. I think that Harlem is such a vibrant community and it doesn't get enough credit. It's super, super family friendly, which I really enjoy. People say like when you have a kid, you need to move out and like have a backyard or whatever, but we literally have our front yard at Central Park. We throw all of Nola's birthdays right out in front. There's a park right across the street from us. It's really just an amazing, amazing place to be. And it's pretty easy to get anywhere else in the city. Like in just 10 minutes or so, I'm in Midtown. So that's really great. All right, so welcome to my fabulous hallway. Again, when I walked into this apartment and I was just walking down this space, I was like, oh my gosh, I think I was like getting antsy as I walked into the living room, like this is the place I'm gonna live. Another one of the very first things I did when we moved in here was, well, actually not very, yeah, I guess it was, because we got married before we moved in here. I created this kind of like wedding wall for Chris and I. We got married in November 2020, so it was a very small wedding. Just like our immediate families and our 2 best friends in California. It was like perfect lighting. And so I created a poster basically with our vows on each side. So when marriage, as inevitably it will get hard, we can always reflect back and like remember on that day and like remember what was like really important and brought us together in the first place. So this is our little wedding ode to us, I guess you could say. And I guess we can go into my room next. So welcome to my bedroom, or our bedroom. I just decorated, so I call it mine. Ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted a jungle room. I envisioned like, as a kid, I wanted like astroturf and like all these trees and plants and like low-key a river or a pond running through. So this is my kind of take on a jungle room, an elevated jungle room. I think that your bedroom should be a place, like out of all the places in your home, a place that you can really, really relax, get that really good sleep. So this is what I've designed. Our bedroom is kind of separated into two different halves. This, I would say, is our sleeping half. And so the green curtains, velvet curtains, back in our old house, we had like a corner apartment. And for some reason, I wanted green velvet curtains. And so when we moved here, I just reused the same curtains that we had. And I found this wallpaper on Amazon because the jungle theme was deep in my mind still. And I think that the curtains and the wallpaper really go well together. And then I also found this green duvet. I played a lot with the color of the duvet because I think I had a tan one at one point, I had a black and white one at one point, and like nothing really felt right. And then I was like, well, why don't I just go green all the way? I also feel like green is the color of money. So I'm like, yes, I'm calling in money as I slumber. And then I try to keep it as simple, again, as practical, but as simple as possible, because this is just the area that we sleep, the area that we want to like relax in. I found these, again, remember my favorite place at Home Goods. I found these, I was like, yes, this kind of goes with my like tropical kind of jungle theme. This I think is my favorite like spot in the room, because you kind of see like, you see the plants, you see that there's a mirror. You can see this sign, Better Together, is from our wedding. And you just kind of like really feel the whole room in this space. I get ready here. I have all like my makeup and stuff unorganized, don't look, in this drawer. And this dresser came, it was actually for Nola when it was her changing table. It came from IKEA. We just switched out the knobs. And then when she got old enough to like not be changed anymore, I was like, what should we do with this? Because we had something else here before that wasn't quite as functional. And though I wasn't really like keen on the white color, I realized like having like this drawer is empty. That's crazy. Like I need to find some stuff to put in here. Having the 3 gigantic drawers is like super helpful, just generally for like storage space in New York City. Our laundry is cleverly hid over here. And then this lovely feline energy, that when I brought home, Chris was like, what are you doing? It just spoke to me. I found it at Burlington Coat Factory, and I just feel like it's something that could look cheap, but in here it does not. I hope you agree with me. I don't know. And then again, just lots and lots of plants, lots of greenery. This Monstera plant is one of the first plants I bought when we moved into this house, and it was just one pot, and it's grown into these 2. And it seems to like this environment, which is most of the time it's very dark in here. And then we just have some more storage space. This it's kind of weird because this furniture wasn't actually bought for this space. The only thing in this like sleeping space that was bought like intentionally for this space was that nightstand over there. Everything else is just like, we had it, like let me figure out a place to put it in and make it work. And I think that it really, really turned out nice. I guess the other thing, like the elephant in the room that I didn't address, my walls are black. What a bold choice, right? I had been wanting to paint this room or this section of the room for a very long time. It was very hard for me to decide on the color. And then I was just like, I think it's black. I think it's black. And I bought the paint and I still didn't paint for about a month. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. It feels very like sultry, very, just very, very me, like inner me. I'm very bubbly and stuff, but like this is just like a really nice, relaxing place. My mother-in-law said it's a baby making room. I'm like, no, don't ask for more grandkids. In this section of the space, we have another homemade piece by Kathleen. This was an IKEA cabinet. I'm like, how folded are these? An IKEA cabinet that didn't have doors, but when I was pregnant, I created these doors. Clearly it's not like completely finished, but I think from the outside, it gives what it needs to give. And then we have some baby pictures of Chris and I left over from the baby shower, a little picture of Nola. This is when we got engaged in 2019. And yeah, that's like, I worked really hard on this, painting it. And it's not the best, but I'm really proud of it, for sure. And then over here, this is, again, in New York, everything has to be a lot of things at one time. So this space functions as my desk sometimes. I will open this up and put my computer here and bring over this, another storage piece from Home Goods with my sauna sack inside. I love that thing. I'll bring this over and sit when I need to work over here. And then these curtains mostly stay closed because I know it doesn't feel like it, but we're in New York City. I know this apartment seems huge. Our neighbors are literally a stone's throw away. So these curtains often remain closed. I want people to feel welcome when they walk in my house. I don't try to get materials and things that are, like everything in my house is practical, especially living in New York City. Like in between the washing machine is a container to hold more things. Under all of our beds is storage. I was laughing this morning because I'm like, I literally sleep on top of Christmas decorations. I'm in the Christmas spirit all year round. But everything literally has a purpose, even when it comes to thinking about Nola's toys, because I never want to hide away her stuff because she does live here too. And I feel like it's important for her to have ownership in our home, even though she doesn't pay rent. I have her toys easy and accessible, but I also think thoroughly about how things can be stored in a way that makes sense, and I can put things away so I feel like relieved and calm. I also really try to find a lot of her stuff on like marketplaces and secondhand things instead of buying new constantly. I think that, and actually a lot of my furniture came from Apartment Deco, which is a really great place for used furniture and with a very efficient process. And for this apartment particularly, again, this main living space I was the most excited about. And what I was truly the most excited about, being a chef and all, was having a dining table. So that I think is like my design, just comfortable and practical really. And then my bedroom gets a little luxurious. That's like my little a safe haven area. Welcome to Nola's room. This is recently been updated because Nola is a big girl now. Every day she wakes up and wants to be bigger. So I had to make her a room to match. I will start here on this very vibrant pink wall. This color low-key reminds me of Pepto-Bismol, but I allowed Nola to choose it. The sign of her name, Nola Christiana, her grandmother Mimi gave her. And then these mirrors, fun fact, I think these are another HomeGood or TJ Maxx find from when I lived in California. So these have come all the way from California with me, and now they live in Nola's room. When Nola was a baby, my sister helped me design the room, and one of the things that she found was this really cool map on Etsy. And I really loved this map and like what it represents, because as a kid, you want them to be like aware of the world. And I knew I didn't want it to be like so girly, but now clearly she's choosing extra pink. So I really love this map. I think no matter how else her room transforms, I'm gonna try to keep this map as long as possible. My parents let me always choose what I wanted, so I think it's really important for her to choose what she wants, within reason, of course. So hopefully she likes this map, and as she gets older, we can talk about it a little bit more. This bookshelf here was a secondhand street find, something that I was like, Chris, we need to pick this up from the street right now. It works really well in here. We have lots and lots of books, but we also have her hair supplies. We have like a little area for like just other things she might need. Here, I kind of designed all these little knickknacks. So these we had in her original design room. I thought it was really cute to have like these little pictures that she could interact with. One of me and Chris being in love, and one of her as a little baby in my tummy. And sometimes when she travels like without us, she'll take those with her, and they like are like a piece of home for her. This moon lamp I just recently found. I think it's so cool. It reflects all these little lights on the stars, because you know she's the age where she's starting to be afraid of the dark. Practical things like humidifier, sound machine. Another little light, this light, I don't think it's charged, but it's a little cat lamp. I got this on Amazon when she first started being afraid of the dark, because it was like a little cat she could sleep with, but then it was actually too distracting, so we had to take it away. That's why it doesn't have battery now. These are two, I don't know if I'll ever be able to part with them. They're two of the very first stuffed animals I bought when I was pregnant with her, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have a baby. I wanna buy these little things for my child. We have a picture of our family in here. These beautiful flowers I got from HomeGoods or something like that. They were part of her original design also. And then what I really am most excited about is this bed that I just created recently. Because she wanted a big girl bed, she was in a crib, and we had taken off one of the sides back in February. Do not recommend. If you don't have to take your child out of a crib, do not do it. But we took off. So instead, I was originally going to buy a twin bed, but the space here is kind of tricky. Like the way the closet opens up here, and it's just really hard to figure out how to fit a twin bed in here. So I was like, how can I use what I already have to create something that's a little bit different? So I basically just took off all the sides of her crib. I left that back piece of her crib, and I created this headboard. I found like a inspiration on some website. And these are actually pool noodles and fabric. And lots of hot glue that holds it together. And so I created this nice little headboard for her. And a few weeks ago, I tried to bring her, I let her choose her new comforter. I brought a blanket that was like this sage green, and then I brought this hot pink. I knew she was gonna choose the hot pink, even though I really, really wanted her to choose the sage green because that would have been better by my design aesthetic. But you know, gotta let her choose. So that is her bed. I'm really quite proud of it. We created a whole new thing, and I think it'll last for at least another year or so. Over here is something that has been here since she was born, like when we created the nursery. This is her family wall, all of her most important people in her life, her grandmothers, great-grandmothers, cousins, all my best friends, the Harlem Honeys, my parents, like everyone that is like immediate to her is here. And I think her chair actually used to be over here. So when we would sit and read to her, we could also like talk about all these people and like make sure that they were, you know, present in her mind. And then, I mean, that's pretty much it. I just have to point out this huge stack of stuffed animals that she will not let go of one, even though she plays with none of them. Oh, also I can show you, you're probably like, where are her clothes? Her clothes live in here. I got this from the Container Store, and I'm surprised by how much stuff it actually holds. Like this is literally her whole wardrobe here, minus like a few coats and dresses. This was a really good buy in terms of organization. And you know, like those moments you just have wins, like, yes, that was a great, great choice. Really happy with this. And then you can see we have some even more storage over here that we can close away. And then these I found, they're so cute, the little butterfly clips. So her room is giving, if I had to give it a name, like whimsical. It's leaning unicorn, it's leaning pink unicorn, but it's giving like floral, whimsical, again, like sort of leaning into the nature vibes with the flowers and the butterflies and things like that. And she really loves it. That's what's important. All right, last but not least, this is our guest room slash store everything that we don't want to see room. It's still a little bit under construction with a few really cool things that I like. So this wall is an ode to Chris's clients. We actually need to put a few more space for, maybe we are running out of space for his client list on here. But this is our football wall. I got these frames on Amazon, and I think they did a really nice job of holding the jerseys inside. Again, because this is a guest room, I found this couch. I honestly don't remember where I got it, but what's really nice about it is that it folds out all the way into a queen size bed, which is kind of hard to find. Eventually, I think I want to get a Murphy bed so it takes up even less space, so we have more space in this area. But for now, it's been doing a really good job, and my parents come to visit from California a lot, so it gives them ample space to be able to feel comfortable while they're sleeping. So this is a good little purchase. And then, again, this is our guest room slash everything kind of room at the moment. So I found this, another secondhand kind of situation on like a marketplace or something. And because space is an issue in here, this actually folds up and folds out. So Chris and I can use this as an office also. And normally when you're not here, this is just open and covered in tons and tons of stuff. But it's nice to be able to like put it away, especially, you know, if guests and stuff are in town. And then I got these, I have one in my room. I got these lamps on Amazon. I think they're super cool. They have 3 different settings, although they have turned off and on before. I'm like, is there a ghost in my house? But I think they just look like really nice. And then again, what is a room without a TV? We have one more TV in here. I just recently tried this like TikTok trick where you put the wishy-washy tape on here. And then you can like make it look like a picture frame if you want. Like you can put a piece of digital art in there, and then it shows up as an art piece. So yeah, this room is, we have a closet, but I'm not opening it because I literally put everything in there. And let's show you the floating bookshelf. So we had these in our old house. I think these are so cool. Yeah, I just think they're like witchcraft, right? It just looks cool to have your books hanging up there like that. And then of course more storage. Everything is storage. Everything is storage because you just need places to put stuff. But yeah, this is a nice simple room. I am gonna paint it or wallpaper it at some point, but for now it's functioning, so that's great. Hey guys, so I'm gonna show you how to make steak, one of Nola's favorite meals, and something that is constantly done wrong or over, like people overthink it too much. So when you're cooking steak, you really only need 2 things, salt and heat, and a really good quality steak. Okay, so 3 things. Anytime you're gonna cook steak, you might as well invest in a good quality. This is a nice sirloin steak. I like to kind of pat off some of the moisture because moisture is the enemy of searing, which I'll talk about what that is in a second. And then salt. And every time you're making steak, you're always gonna add more salt than you think you need. You can see how much salt I'm adding. You're probably like, Kathleen, you're giving me high blood pressure. I promise you, it is not giving you high blood pressure. You wanna create a nice salted crust on here. And then I also wanna turn on the stove because the second element of this is heat. And I'm just using kosher salt. Kosher salt is nice and granular. You can see, you can really feel it with your hands. I like it because you can know how much you're putting on. Very rarely, I'd never say never. I never use iodized salt. I realized that I scarred Chris so badly that he like refuses to use iodized salt now, but I just like the way kosher or sea salt works well here too. Now, steak is something that we think that we want to make and then eat right away, you know, and that's great. What I love about sirloin steak, especially for meal prep, is you can make a whole steak like this and use it in several different ways after. So you can eat it the first night, your steak and potatoes, your meal, whatever you're gonna eat that night, but then you can slice it thinly and use it in wraps or salads or sandwiches and stuff like that. A lot of us also need to wrap our minds around how much steak or red meat we should be eating. There is no reason this steak should not be able to feed 4 people twice the way that you're cutting it. And I'll show you that at the end. This steak is also not even just great for meal prep, but it's also a great steak for entertaining a crowd because you can literally, I'm gonna show you, you'll slice it on up and you can feed about 20 people if you're doing like a heavy appetizer situation. All right, so let's go over to the stove. My heat is on. Again, you want your pan super, super, super hot. I have my oven preheating because I'm gonna put my steak into the oven to finish cooking. I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil. Now, if you really want it to be official, you should use canola oil because canola is a higher heat oil. So you're gonna get a little bit better of a sear. Although the health benefits of olive oil versus canola are, you know, a little bit different. I literally just always keep olive oil here. So most of the time I'm not going to dig around and find the canola oil somewhere else. But yeah, this is the part that's hard for people when it comes to cooking, is just waiting. Like we always think we have to be doing something. No, you don't. This is a time like you could check your phone, read an email, do something else, just sit and meditate, you know, just sit in stillness. Because you do want this pan to be very, very hot, which I think now it is. I'm gonna bring the steak over. This is literally how I cook. I just like dangerously walk the line. And I'm gonna stick it in the pan. When you put it in, you wanna be careful that you're not gonna have to move it too much after. So I wanted to make sure, and you see all that steam and smoke. I used to say that if your smoke alarm doesn't go off, you're not cooking your steak right, but I took out the smoke alarm in my house. Don't tell anyone that. And I would turn on the fan normally, but it's fine. You can see, one of the things I'm not that proud of in this apartment is how much I cook. You can see this like grease stain up here. I need to like climb up there with a, what is that thing? A Mr. Clean scrubber. Haven't found the time to do that yet. But yeah, so now I'm gonna just kind of, this is a little bit dangerous because the oil could splatter. I have arms of steel from doing this for over 15 years. Just kind of, again, take off some of that moisture and then come back with my salt. And this time, look, I'm even more dangerous. I'm just gonna pour it on. But again, that nice kind of thick layer of salt. And I like to keep my salt in right next to my stove, so I just refill this all the time. And then if I was doing a lot more meal prep, while the steak is searing, I would start doing something else, right? Like I could turn my back. I'm actually gonna cut up some crudités, so I could actually start cutting up my crudité. Actually, let me get a bowl. I like to keep a bowl when I'm cooking nearby for trash, so I don't have to walk back and forth to my trash can, because my kitchen's so big. It's such a problem. But yeah, I'm not touching my steak for, I don't know, how's long it's been, like 2 minutes or so? Probably 2 to 3 minutes. It's really, really hard to burn it. I hope I don't burn it now that I just said that. But you really don't want to mess with it because again, you're trying to get a hard sear, which means really high heat. If you start moving around, you're going to start creating steam, which creates moisture, which will not let you have that hard sear. All right, let's check it out. I'm going to grab some tongs. So just a quick note on tongs. If you are in the market for tongs, buy these. Not these. I prefer the ones with no plastic stuff because it's like melted, probably melted in my food at some point. But these are the way to go. All right, let's flip this over. Ooh, yes. You see that nice crusty sear? Looking amazing. And again, I'm not gonna mess with it, but I am gonna bring over my sheet tray. I lined it with aluminum foil or maybe parchment paper, whatever you have. And I'm gonna let it cook for another minute or two, and then I'm going to put it in the oven. People always ask me, how long do you cook steak? Honestly, it just depends what kind of steak you like. And the other question I always get is what temperature. So whenever I'm meal prepping and not baking, I generally just set the oven for 400 degrees because you can basically cook anything at 400 degrees. It just depends again on the time, right? So this steak, I like medium rare-ish, especially if you're gonna be using it for meal prep for after things. You don't wanna overcook it. You wanna err on the side of rare. So I'll probably finish this in the oven for another like 7 to 10 minutes. Again, my steak is nice and thick. Like you never wanna buy a steak that's like less than 1/2 of an inch thick. If you had some onions, you could throw these into this and that would be delicious. You could start caramelizing some onion in the steak juice. So now I'm just gonna put this in the oven for 7 to 10 minutes. And while this is cooking, I can start to do something else. So in the meantime, whenever you're trying to master meal prep, you wanna master the technique or the art of doing several things at one time. This is why I'm always telling Chris that even though it looks easy, what I'm doing when I'm meal prepping is I'm constantly thinking about what could be next. If I'm doing a lot of different things at one time, I might just pause for a moment and like wash dishes to like get me back on track. For today, I'm just gonna be cutting up some crudité. Crudité is something that I just love to leave in the fridge because it's a quick, easy go snack. If you just grab some like store-bought hummus or a store-bought dip you really like, there's no shame in the game of buying something semi-homemade. And just having some like bell peppers and carrots can really, you know, help you have better eating habits because if it's already cut up and in your fridge, you have less excuse to eat something bad for you. So again, I have this little trash bowl near me and I'm just gonna slice these into slices, obviously. And then, remember my talk about Tupperware, I'm just gonna put them directly into the container that I want them to stay in. Sometimes I'll even line this with a paper towel because that can kind of help your vegetables stay fresh longer. I'm just cutting out the ribs of this bell pepper. So yeah, sometimes I like to put paper towel at the bottom, but not always, just depending on how fast you think you'll eat them. I like yellow and red and orange peppers. I am not a fan of green bell peppers that are raw, so I don't buy them. Of course, I like the more expensive ones. The color of the bell pepper actually tells you how old it is. I forget which color is the oldest at the moment. I think red is the oldest. But that just depends. So you could cut these as thin or as thick as you like. Nola likes them pretty thin. So in this house, I try when I can to appease her so she will eat it. Nothing is worse. I mean, toddlers just say no for no reason. So you want to try to do all you can to get them to not just say no. All right, so there we have our bell peppers. This is something, if you're afraid of meal prep, this is something that you could just start implementing. Take literally 7 minutes of your time a week. cut up some vegetables, buy some hummus, and you'll have an easy snack. And I definitely think there's a big difference of cutting up your own vegetables versus like buying them already chopped up. A lot of times the chopped up ones, even the ones from the store that they make like fresh in the plastic container, a lot of times they have like some weird kind of flavor to keep them lasting fresh longer. Also, don't you care about the environment like that? You're just buying plastic to throw away later. So for the carrots, I like to cut them into manageable pieces and then just down like so. And sometimes I'm surprised. Carrots can be really good. If you get a good batch of carrots, I know that sounds weird. Like no one's like, oh my gosh, a good batch of carrots. It's like such a regular vegetable, but sometimes they can be very sweet and crunchy. My friends always make fun of me because they say I don't eat. I think that came from being around food. Starting off early in my career, I was a breakfast chef. So I started off the day cooking for other people. And often I'm kind of like of the mentality work first, play later. So until I feel like I can really sit down and enjoy my food, I don't really want to eat. Like I'm not just taking a 10-minute break to like scarf something down my face. But I do think that that is true. Like if you're just constantly around food, you kind of become numb to it in a sense. That's why also my friends think it's really like unusual and kind of funny when I think something is good at a restaurant because my average answer for something at a restaurant is, it's okay. Normally I'm going out to eat for the company, not the restaurant. All right, so yeah, just in a few minutes, like look at all that crudité. It's probably what, maybe like $7 worth of raw materials and you can have healthy snacks all the week long. Perfect. Now let's check on our steak. New York is super expensive to live in, as my husband reminds me every other day, but I find that meal prepping really helps us survive on a day-to-day basis. I actually teach a meal prep course because I've learned so many tips and tricks from all my years of cooking for so many different families. There's actual systems that you can apply that will let you cook more efficient and more fast. It's not so much about like what you're cooking, it's just about like bulk batch cooking. And I find, even though it's so hard, trust me, I know, because as a chef, I'm like, this is so easy. Like, yeah, like when I'm getting paid for clients and stuff. But as a mom and a wife and just an adult, I'm like, I have to feed myself like every single day and them. And my child eats 3 times a day. I can normally get away with 2. So meal prepping is super helpful. If you just take 2 hours out of your week and batch like 4 or 5 different items, you can kind of mix and match throughout the week. And I love it not only because it actually does save time because you're also not like cleaning up every single time you cook. You just like take out what you need, put it on a plate, and eventually you just start eating it out of the containers because there's not that much left, so then even less dishes. So it saves time in that sense. It saves money because, I mean, I don't know if you've checked on one of these to-go apps lately, but you're spending at least $30 to get like a pizza. And it also just makes like mealtime more fun, like sitting down and not having to worry about what's for dinner every single night, just getting to enjoy, especially now that my child is at school. I don't have that much time with her, so just sitting around the table and being able to just pull out food and like nourish our bodies while also communicating with each other is really special. So here's our steak that's been cooking for about 8 minutes. It's always very exciting to see if you got the right temperature when you slice it in. We let it rest for about 7 minutes also. And then when I go to cut it, I want to cut it against the grain. So you can see these lines running through the steak. So I'm going to cut it just slightly off. And then remember that thin slice I was looking for? Oops. So I'm going to just literally cut it ever so thin, like almost paper thin. And this, you can see, if you cut your whole steak, there's that color we're looking for. That's like literally perfect. I did it again, always surprise myself. yeah, just continue to cut through the steak like so. My knife is a little dull. I shouldn't have to go that hard, but look at that. That is literally perfect. So if I were gonna re-serve this or like reheat it, I wouldn't. I like to eat it hot, like now as it came out. And then like for future, I would maybe just take off the chill for like 10 seconds or so, and then put it in a wrap or a salad or something. But I know you're probably still amazed. I'm still cutting, still going. And you can see also, as you get to the thicker part, it's like a different temperature because the steak was not created equal. It's a little bit thinner on the other side. That's what I was saying, is it's great for entertaining because literally if you have other sides, this could probably feed at least 6 people. I think people don't know how to eat. Like, especially steak, they're like, oh, I need the whole steak to myself. But you really don't. Especially if it's seasoned very well with like a nice amount of salt. You need less than you think. I always eat the little ends for myself. I also cut off the fat to eat for myself too. Because you want to eat that when it's hot for sure. And there we have our steak. Look at that. So perfect. And because it's rested, there's no juices. Sometimes, oh, also, if I'm saving this for meal prep, I'll take these juices that were in the pan and like pour them over to just kind of like put them back into the steak. Oh man, so good. To me, home means just somewhere that you feel safe and loved and comfortable. I want to walk in my house and feel like it feels like a breath of fresh air, because the world can be really, really harsh and terrible. But your home should always be a place of safe refuge, and just like things that make you happy. You shouldn't necessarily feel like you have to follow trends or get caught up by trends. Like, I don't know what everyone's doing now. And one thing for me particularly that makes me so happy is flowers. I always try to have fresh florals in my home because I know just like seeing them just makes me really, really happy. And home is a place to like recharge your happiness from what the world can take away.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.